Okay, so Marcia, thank you very much for joining me on the call today. And I guess the setup for this call is about, as we'll talk about, you had a kind of life-changing diagnosis, breast cancer. And one of the things that you have said about that is that you had fantastic support from your employer. And I would love for other people to hear that story and to really kind of explore what it was that kind of made it so right for you, so that other people can kind of learn from that. So
Absolutely.
That is what this video is about, I guess. So tell us a bit about you and your background and the role that you do.
Okay, so my current job title is Head of Service Delivery. So I work for Mannheim, which is part of Cox Automotive. And I've been with Mannheim 17 years coming up.
Wow.
And done a whole plethora of jobs since I've been there. And what I really enjoy about what I do is I have this inquisitive nature of why. And Mannheim have kind of allowed me to go and ask all those questions and do a postgrad in customer service and gone and done a green belt in Lean Six Sigma. And so my inquisitive to learn and know more and make a difference has kind of really matched up with what Mannheim allowed me to do or expected me to do. So I kind of feel like I've had this lovely little marriage going on with Mannheim, where they've I get paid for doing something that I really enjoy, and thankfully it adds value to what Mannheim wants. So 17 years, all customer, all people. People are so important to me, because if you get the people bit right, your customers are happy and everything else kind of follows through.
Yeah.
And I think the great thing that I love about where I am at the moment with Mannheim and my career is our values are around do the right thing, and actually they do, and as a leader I do as well. So I just, I've got the perfect job, if you like, that fits me from what I need as an individual, but also my family as well.
Which explains perfectly why you are still there 17 years later. Yeah, those achievements, that's incredible.
I know.
And I know that organisation. I know that length of service is not unusual, which is amazing. So
no, they are great.
Tell us about your diagnosis then and your treatment, and tell us the story.
So I had what I thought was a little bit of eczema on my right nipple, and I'd had this for probably 2 years. And interestingly, again, coming back to Mannheim, one of the things that we started doing at the moment is talking very openly about the menopause.
Yeah.
And about the fact that, us poor women out there, we do lose our confidence, we get that brain fog and all the things that kind of go with menopause. So I'd become very aware that I was going through the menopause, and I was getting the sweats and I was getting the brain fog and all the things that we talked about, and I'd got this little bit of eczema, which I kind of put down to being part of the menopause. And then when I was 50, I had the flu, and a few days, well, as you do, I was working while I was ill, and I kept thinking, I'm not getting any better. Went to the doctors and he signed me off for 2 weeks, of which I thought, ridiculous, it's only the flu. So I had a week off work and went back, even though I didn't feel particularly well. That was in the October. I still felt really ill by Christmas, and I was thinking to myself, all these seasonal colds, there's no air conditioning, and going through the menopause, I'm getting old, and all these reasons as to why I've got this bit of eczema on my nipple. And then I got pneumonia, and as a result of getting pneumonia, obviously I had to stop and was given some antibiotics, and a month later had 4 weeks off work, which is really not like me, and I still didn't feel well, and I kept thinking. Then COVID hit, and I thought, I wonder if I've got COVID, I wonder if I've got long COVID. And all these things that I'm thinking that are nothing to do with what was coming. And then I went on holiday with another family and some friends, and I couldn't lie and sunbathe on my tummy. My friend whose mum had breast cancer, she said, you ought to get that checked out, because actually a bit of eczema doesn't hurt. not
Yeah.
to the degree that you've got it. So I went to my doctors and said, can you tell me when I'm going to get called for my routine mammogram? And they said, well, we don't do that here, but we'll give you a number, ring it. And this number was sat on my screen for weeks. And I picked it up and screwed it up. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to ring them. So I rang and the lady said, actually, she said, you're not due for a mammogram. We'll get to you eventually. But can I ask why you want to know? You've got this bit of eczema. 3 weeks later, an appointment came, went for my mammogram. Anything you need to worry about? No, nothing. Got this little bit of eczema, but nothing. Okay, that's fine. Then had a letter saying, don't worry, I'm sure it's something and nothing, but we'd like you to go to Coventry. We'd like to do some further tests.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of most of the things that I was due to happen to me, that was quite a frightening experience. They told me that there was something there, but they didn't know. So they I think that it took about 4 hours, but they took 32 cuttings from my breast to try and work out what was the matter. So that was done, that was fine, stitched me up, sent me home. And then the 16th of November, I was called into hospital, went to see Mr. Hack, and he's invited me in and said, what do you know? And I said, you're going to tell me I've got breast cancer, aren't you? Thinking that he's going to say, oh, don't be silly. And he said, yes, I am. He said, and you've got a cancer called Paget's disease, and it's incurable. So the only thing we can do is go for mastectomy. I said, are you going to cut my breast off? And yeah, yes, I am. So obviously that initial tears and was frightened, and then he went and did some further he looked around, and he said, well, the problem is because of COVID, you know, we don't know when we can get you in, if you want to have reconstruction. And I was sort of like, just do what you got to do, just do what you got. How much time have I got? Well, we need to get you sorted within the next 2 months. So that's got to happen. So they packed me off, met this beautiful nurse who really looked after me, made a phone call, and on the 22nd of December, I went into Solihull Hospital and had lymph nodes removed, I had my breast removed, I had reconstruction all done at the same time. It was that quick. So they then realised that this cancer had gone into my breast skin. So in April, I had to have the whole operation done again. Which was fine. And then I finally got the all clear in terms of the Paget's in June of this year, which was great. But I do carry a cancer gene, which they treat with hormone treatment. So for every year that I am clear, every year that the chance of it coming back diminish. And you know what? I've got as much chance of it coming back as I did getting it in the first place. So my view is, just live your life, because I might have 5 years, I might have another 50.
That feels like a really fast period of time to kind of get your head around,
Massive.
Wow.
And interestingly, from a Mannheim perspective, one of the things that was really important to me at the time is that nobody knew. And the reason why I didn't want people to know is I needed to get my head around it.
Right, yeah.
I didn't want people asking me, because actually I didn't want to talk about it. So in my head, I was going into hospital to have an operation. I hadn't thought beyond anything else. And I needed some normality. I didn't want to you know, I was going to the hospital and I was having this parallel life of stuff that was going on, and I didn't want it spilling into my career. I wanted that to be normal.
Yeah.
And so to make it normal, I needed that confidentiality, and I needed to go at my own pace, because everything was going 200 miles an hour here, and the only place where I could stop and get off was at work, because nobody knew.
Yeah.
And that was a comfort.
And I guess you had that conversation with the leaders and said, this is what I need and this is how you need to support me.
Absolutely. So I broke up for work on the 18th of December.
Yeah.
The team that I work in, senior leader team that I work in, were told after I'd gone off for my surgery.
Right.
And I just said, look, I just need to go away and do this. So when I come back, but you know, I'll probably be ready to talk about it, but just let me go and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Which I did, and I think I had somewhere in, so the board were told, and I think I had somewhere in the region of 25 bouquets of flowers and gifts that arrived at my house after Christmas from people that you just, because you never see yourself how other people see you. So the gifts that I had from people that I work with, it's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe this person thinks that much of me, that they'd send me this bouquet or they'd send me this gift. So I was totally overwhelmed by the amount of gifts that I had. And the other thing that I would say as well is for people that find themselves in this situation, have one point of contact at work and stick to it.
Okay.
Because what happens is that because people care, they desperately want updates. And then you think, oh, did I tell them or did I tell them? And what I found is that I used to have a weekly conversation with my boss, and he would say, okay, then, so are you happy for me to share this or happy for me to share that? And then the message was, you know, you can text Marcia with pleasure, but if she doesn't come back to you, please don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And in the first month, I couldn't face talking to people. But actually having that check-in with my boss at the time was lovely. And I used to find I'd come out of hospital, I'd ring my sister and my sister-in-law, and then I'd ring my boss. And that poor man had me crying and, you know, and all the way through it, he used to say, it'll be nothing, you'll be fine, you know. And I do joke to him that he's my superhero. And he went, well, you know, but I don't think he will ever appreciate that whatever I needed was never a problem.
What do you think that experience has done for you in terms of how you feel about that organisation?
Well, never leave. Never leave. Oh, it's funny really, because like they've always used to joke that they'd have to cart me out in my wheelchair anyway. But I am really passionate about Mannheim, and I think that having been through what I've been through, it does make you rethink things. And again, as you know, you and I've known each other a long time, but I am a massive workaholic, and I think what I have learned is actually I need to have a work-life balance. I've got a 9-year-old daughter that was very nearly without a mum, and actually I don't want her lasting memories of me to be she was always on a laptop or she was always on a phone. So now, because of how things are, I do the school run, and I've said to my team now, I will be doing the school run at this time. Please do not phone me when I'm with Lily, because that time in the car on the way home is our time. And I think I've set some boundaries in place. And what that's done as well is it's allowed other people to say, do you know what? I'm going to do that as well. Because actually it's okay to have a life outside of work, and you do perform better when you have those breaks and those downtimes. So I think my allegiance to Mannheim has always been very strong. What has been amazing, I went to a colleague's retirement do, and while I was there, I was very lucky because I was one of very few people that was invited to go, but all our senior board members were there, and every single one came up to me and they knew what had happened. They asked me how I was. I thanked them for allowing me to be ill and not put me under pressure. I actually, between my 2 operations, came back to work, and I had about 3 calls from different people in HR saying, you know, you don't have to come back. And I was like, yeah, but I really want to. And I'm probably not adding any value, but it's helping me think about it.
Sure.
Different. And also as well, there's that financial element as well, because the first thing you think about is, how am I going to pay my bills? What happens if I'm not well enough? what am I going to do? And I think what Mannheim did for me is they just said, you know what, let's just take one step at a time. And they did, and they were amazing. But also, I would say on the flip side of that, I don't want to say I kind of earned the right, but that doesn't sound right really. But it's almost like they have had my unwavering commitment for 17 years. And actually, at a time when I needed something back for them, it was unconditional.
Yeah, you had credit in the bank.
Yeah, massively,
Yeah.
massively. And also, you know, many people said, you know what, for all the effort you've put in over the years, you deserved it. You deserved it. And people are just really pleased to see me back. And, you know, I think I find myself, having now had this experience, treating my team a little bit differently. I have a colleague at the moment whose mum's got lung cancer.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, I've got to go and take mum to the hospital. And I said to her, I'll log back on when I get home. No, you won't. You will be emotionally exhausted. You need to go, and because if you're poorly, how can you look after your mum? You tell me what's urgent, we'll get it covered, but you go and do what you need to do for your mum. And then we'll worry about the work afterwards, because there's enough of us to sort it. And actually what you do find is that employees will be more inclined to say, well, actually, I am going to log on because they're being good to me. So I think you get more if you give people generally don't want to take advantage of when they know the employee's being kind and thoughtful and trying to work with them. And I think, and I know this from my own experience, that there's nothing that I wouldn't do for Mannheim, because when I needed their support, I got it.
So what would kind of wrap us up then? What would be your kind of single piece of advice then, do you think, of someone who was supporting an employee going through what you went through?
Listen to what they need and work with them. Don't take the standpoint that they're going to take advantage of you being kind, because trust me, they won't have the capacity to do it. All they need to know is that they can go away and get better. You know, I actually said to my boss, do you want me to send you the letter with my diagnosis in? And he went, no. You know,
yeah.
Don't ask for appointment cards and all the rest of it. If you walk shoulder to shoulder with that person through what they're going through, you know, you'll just really make a difference to somebody, and they won't take advantage, because I don't think they'll be able to. All they want is everything to be calm in their life, and they just need somebody just to say, it's okay, you know, go and have your 3 months off work, go and do what. And I joke, because I was off 8 months, and I always sort of say to people, well, you know, it's about time I did some work. I've been off for 8 months. Everybody will say in unison, but it wasn't a holiday, was it? You were poorly, which is really nice that they appreciate that I have had a time.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing so openly. And, you know, it's just wonderful to hear that you've had that experience, and, you know, and that it's exactly what you needed. So thank you.
It was. Thank you. And thanks for allowing me to share my story, because one of the things that I didn't have the best aftercare in terms of my treatment for cancer because of COVID. Things were very different. The NHS was stretched. So in terms of physically, everything I needed, emotionally, not great at all. But I just think in terms of, if I've made a difference to somebody by doing this, then it's been worth sharing.
Well, I know you will have done. So thank you very much. Thank you.